Yo, welcome back to another video. I'm Draco and I'm joined by,
Bro,
and today we are watching Good Things Done by Bad People. But trust me, bro.
bad people like good things.
Good things done by bad people. When you mention an absolutely evil person, the first thing you're going to discuss is the bad things they've done. But in this video, I wanted to explore the juxtaposition between bad people and good deeds. Obviously not to sympathize with or rationalize with these horrible people that I'm going to be mentioning, but just to shed some light on some interesting historical facts in a rather morbid way and to kind of open your mind about how complex people and situations really are. Let's explore some of the good deeds done by some of the worst people. Adolf Hitler. I feel like Adolf Hitler was a natural starting point for this video. And honestly, his atrocities and crimes against humanity don't really need a explanation. But I do feel it's important to reiterate exactly how evil this man was. However, did you know that there's a very likely chance the car that you may drive on a daily basis exists because of Hitler? Let me explain. During the 1930s, Hitler wanted a lot of things. One of those things was affordable vehicles for every German family. He wanted a car that could haul a family, some luggage, and also be affordable and reliable. He wanted a car for the people, a people's car, and you probably already see where this is going. If you don't, people's car in German translates to Volkswagen, and in 1937,
Really?
Volkswagen was established in Wolfsburg, Germany. Just for a bit of context,
Oh,
cars were an extreme
logo,
Bro, you
logo,
good?
that's crazy. That logo, bro.
What?
Go back. Ooh,
Bro, imagine they still
ooh.
rock this. Oh my god. I mean, they still got the
By that
center.
G.
They still got the centerpiece, but these outside ones.
was established
Or
in
like a branch of the third right.
The 1000 Volkswagen built in March 1946 coming from assembly line. Wait, 1000th? Well, I guess when you're in a war, you don't really have time to make cars. Makes sense. And why does this man look like he was photoshopped in?
I have no clue, bro.
Does
The
it?
one on the other side, sketchy.
time. And roughly only one of every 50 Germans actually had a vehicle. Most people either had a bicycle at best or their feet at worst. So this plan for widespread affordable vehicles was rather ambitious, and for that reason took a lot of initiative and effort. And one man who put a lot of effort into this Volkswagen project was Ferdinand Porsche, a man we'll discuss later. At this time, Ferdinand was
Really? Ferdinand Porsche? Okay.
a
Yep.
well-known automotive engineer, and he was the person who created the initial design for the Volkswagen Beetle, a car that would go on to change the world. But the progress of this vehicle and the project wasn't linear, because although Hitler had this
I
initiative and
don't
was
know about
pushing
that
this
shit.
messaging, and Ferdinand was developing this prototype vehicle, once 1939 came around, car production came to a halt, and tank production was the sole focus of almost every factory producing moving automotive products. But that's kind of where the good ends in this entire situation, because the more onion layers you peel back, the more dark it actually gets. Because for starters, although Hitler really wanted
Didn't Nazi Germany also create Fanta because Coca-Cola got banned?
I have no clue.
I think I think that's how Fanta got created. I'm not sure if you're gonna talk about it. When was when was Jesus born? Obviously the year zero, retard. Fanta was invented in Germany in 1940 by Coca-Cola bottling company there as a way to keep their business running during World War II when they couldn't get Coca-Cola syrup due to trade embargoes using available ingredients like apple fiber and whey. The popular orange Fanta we know today, however, was developed later in Italy 1955, which was locally sourced oranges. Told you. Modern Fanta was made by Italy, but the origin came from Nazi Germany.
to have affordable vehicles, that goal was never met by Hitler. And Volkswagen's success isn't really attributed to Hitler, it's actually attributed to the British who took over the project after World War II. Because they essentially
Ew.
allowed Volkswagen to live on. After the war had ended, there was a bit of a debate whether or not Volkswagen was a consumer automobile company or a war production facility. And depending
Both.
on what these factories were classified as would drastically change the outcome, because if this was a war production facility, then it could be dismantled by the British, and tools and machines could actually be taken as war reparations. After the war, it was up to the British to try to decide new management. And to put it briefly, the British didn't want Volkswagen. The British called Henry Ford to see if he wanted Volkswagen for free.
What?
He didn't want Volkswagen. And because nobody really wanted Volkswagen, a man named Heinrich Nordhoff, who was a German engineer, had the opportunity to rebuild the brand with the ambitious plan. And while there was a lot of post-war rules around German production, as far as Volkswagen is concerned, the rest is history. And the Volkswagen Beetle was a massive success. And Volkswagen is a car manufacturer, and the Volkswagen Group are massive entities to this day. And if you want a bit of a more
Volkswagen. I'm not pronouncing this bottom part.
I think salsa.
Bentley, Audi, Bugatti,
with
Porsche.
that, go to the Volkswagen
All
Wiki
you need to
page
worry
and
about is BMW, Volkswagen,
Beetle.
Audi, Porsche, Bentley, or was it Bugatti? I think it's both of them. And Ducati is a bike company.
The company is for the Beetle, blah, 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 blah. The group's largest market is China. Of course it is. Including Hong Kong and Macau, which accounts for 40% of its sales and profits.
Jesus, 40%?
No. People's car. The German words Volk and Wagen means people's car.
Wagen. It's a
let's
Volkswagen.
start seeing pictures of Hitler. But like I said, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. Because when the initial Volkswagen project was happening, the Nazis didn't hire just anybody to build these concept cars. No, they used slave labor. And it's reported that the Nazis used over 15,000 slaves from different concentration camps to provide the manpower for the
Wow.
People's Car project. You know you're an evil person when even one of the best things that people can attribute to you is still shrouded in just darkness and abuse. If nothing else, you'll likely be looking at Volkswagen just a little bit differently from
Bah.
Ferdinand Porsche. I wanted to give Ferdinand his own section just to not overcrowd the first section.
Whoa, buddy, what is this? Ah. Hey,
I will
yo.
keep this one a bit brief. Ferdinand Porsche wasn't on Hitler levels of horrible, but he was very involved in the German war effort during World War II. Ferdinand was directly involved in the production of the advanced tanks that the Germans had during World War II, and on top of tanks, he also helped design and engineer their bomber planes as well. And because of all of the engineering efforts that Ferdinand had given, he was a member of the Nazi Party and an honorary Oberfuhrer in the SS, which is basically just a military ranking within the Nazi Party. I would argue it's fair to say that those qualifications are worthy of putting you in the bad person category. And for that reason, I wanted to mention him. Because although he helped develop the planes and tanks that killed millions of people, including civilians, he did develop the Volkswagen Beetle, but even more notably, nearly 35 years before he developed the Volkswagen Beetle, Ferdinand and a colleague developed the first
What is this? He developed the
It's
what?
the first Porsche.
Nearly
Porsche.
35 years before he developed the Volkswagen Beetle, Ferdinand and a colleague developed the first gasoline-electric hybrid vehicle ever, known
Huh.
as the Loaner Porsche Electromobile. And while electric cars and hybrid cars didn't take off for another 100-something years, Ferdinand played an important role in pioneering the entire segment of automobiles. And in case you were wondering or didn't figure it out yet, Ferdinand Porsche is also the creator of Porsche automobiles,
Clearly. I mean, if his name didn't give it away.
arguably one of the best automotive manufacturers of all time. But that being said, as cool as the sports cars we have are today, it's definitely a mind bender thinking about the origins of these things. Saddam Hussein.
Nazi!
Jumping out of World War II and Europe entirely, let's get
Saddam.
into the Middle East and discuss an extremely polarizing figure, the president of Iraq from 1979 all the way up until 2003. A few credentials that qualify Saddam as a bad person were the genocides, human rights violations, and chemical weapons usage. But realistically, all you need to know is that Saddam Hussein had a dictatorial regime, and like every other dictatorial regime in history, they're not pleasant. While there was a lot of unsavory things going on in Iraq under Saddam Hussein's rule, one good thing that happened under his rule was free healthcare. That's right, if you were an Iraqi citizen during the 1980s, you had access to a plethora of healthcare services.
Why? Well, he gained power in 1979, so Okay, okay, never mind.
Hospital visits, doctor's visits, medications. These were all provided to you from the government. And the reason why I mentioned the 1980s specifically is because
Wait,
that's
wait, shut up. I know this. I know why. Probably.
Go ahead.
Did he may or may not have invaded Iran at this point in time? Hmm.
when Iraq's oil revenue was rather high, which gave the
Oh, never
government
mind.
extra money
I thought he because he invaded Iraq. I mean Iran.
Wait. Let him finish. Let him finish.
to invest in public services, which it did, specifically with healthcare. But the benefit of this program was kind of short-lived because during the 1990s, the quality and access of all of these free services were basically paused due to severe international sanctions and, of course, the Gulf War that shortly after ensued.
Okay.
But regardless, for a period of time, Saddam Hussein did provide Iraq with free healthcare, but he also did provide genocide, murder, and human rights violations to others. Ted Bundy. If you couldn't already tell, I'm trying to make this video as much of a mixed bag as possible.
What the
With that
heck?
being said, I'm
That
thinking, what
psycho?
possibly could Ted Bundy, likely
The
one of the
woman
most
killer.
famous serial killers and psychopaths ever, have done that's good? What is Ted Bundy's good deed to the world? And the answer is incredibly odd. Although Ted Bundy is one of the most famous serial killers of all time, there was also a time in his life when he was actively working to save people's lives.
Stop
That's
it.
right. The psychopath
Okay.
who senselessly killed innocent women and girls was also somebody that people would talk to in their darkest hours. And what I mean by that is Ted Bundy worked at a crisis center in Seattle, where he specifically helped people dealing with suicidal thoughts. And on top of just helping these people, he wasn't even working there. He was a volunteer, a double good deed whammy. But in case this is news to you, it's pretty shocking news to say the least. You know, a serial killer working at a suicide prevention hotline, sometimes the jokes just
Jokes do reference.
write themselves. But the speculation behind why he was doing this is where the situation gets interesting, and something we really don't have an answer to. Bundy was never interrogated about his time as a crisis hotline volunteer. He had a lot of other things to answer for, so this is something that's kind of not fully known. But some popular speculations are that Bundy was just doing it as extra credit for school because he was a psychology major, another kind of ironic point seeing that he's a psychopath. But it's also likely that Ted Bundy worked in this situation so that he could experience these emotions, learn from them, and ultimately try to emulate them and use them for his own twisted benefit. And a third
I can believe that. Yeah. You know what? I believe that. I could easily believe that.
theory is that Bundy worked
What?
at the center to feel a sense of power. It's said that psychopaths typically have a god complex, making
What?
them feel a grandiose sense of self, and that the world
You didn't
revolves
know
around
that?
them, and that they are so powerful and so
No.
important. And if you
Why
had
would?
this
Why?
feeling about
No.
yourself, then it would
Not
be
really.
unreasonable to assume that you would likely put yourself in a
They're
position where
highly
people would come to you
egotistical.
at their most vulnerable and essentially put their life in your hands, even if they were potentially
Oh,
helping
so
you
he
in
got
the
off
end.
to
They
it.
were doing it for their own gain.
Sounds like
At
it.
one point in his life, one of the most notorious serial killers ever actually prevented people from ending their lives. And I'm curious.
While
would
ending
you
other people's life in the process. Yep. Makes
Or
sense.
if not after.
Yeah.
Ted Bundy's motives were
Yeah,
for
makes a
working
lot of
in
sense.
this position? Did he want to look inconspicuous? Did he want to learn about human emotion? Did he want to feel like he was in control? Or was he just looking for extra credit in school? I have no idea, but they're all likely considerations. And while we're on the topic of notorious serial killers, let's just get this one out of the way. John Wayne Gacy. Gacy is another one of the most notorious serial killers from America. And he's also another example of somebody living a pretty disturbing double life. Because to most, he seemed like a local member of the community. He appeared to have a successful contracting business, he was active in politics locally, and he was also well liked in the community for reasons we'll get into. But when nobody was looking and Gacy was alone with a victim, there was a twisted side that revealed itself. That specifically involved the torture, rape, and murder of at least 33 young boys and men, most of which
Jesus.
he buried beneath his own home. But as I mentioned, every coin has two sides. And when Gacy wasn't ruining the lives of young boys and destroying families for generations to come, he would occasionally do things that would be considered actually good, most notably dressing up as Pogo the Clown and volunteering at children's hospitals and local events.
No, I'm sorry. If you dress up as a clown, you're already a freak. I'm just saying. Yeah.
Then there's a lot of
To
girls that are
bring
freaks.
Because they all wear makeup, you're right. That's basically most women.
I didn't say all that. But they be having clown makeup.
Get-
Like they specifically made themselves look like a clown.
Most of them, yeah.
cheer to children, which is obviously extremely eerie knowing what he actually brought to children. And on top of acting as a clown at others' events, he would also organize his own events,
The deep.
specifically neighborhood block parties, with food, drink, entertainment, anything you would want in a block party. And ironically, his events were typically attended by members of law enforcement, which, once again, only
What? Okay. I mean, I didn't know that.
makes the reality of the situation that much darker. Similar to Ted Bundy, John Wayne Gacy was a killer hidden in plain sight, and truly a wolf in sheep's clothing. And while putting on events for your community and trying to bring joy to those in worse positions than yourself is definitely a noble pursuit, when you are doing so in order to find your next victim or to simply make yourself look less conspicuous, then you're almost not even a bad person doing good things. You're just a bad person pretending to do good things. It's so eerie to think that there are young boys and men that had completely opposite experiences with Pogo the Clown and Gacy. Some boys met Gacy and got a balloon animal, and some boys met Gacy and never saw their family again. And for that reason, it's hard to associate anything good with this person, much like every person on this list.
He was gay, by the
Genghis
way.
Khan. Switching categories.
Yeah, I definitely could not tell he was gay.
Yeah, so
Context
basically
comes
the
on
whole thing behind Gacy is that he'd take like younger kids. Not younger kids, but like teenagers. He'd take teenagers, like employ them to work, and then he'd like rape them, whatever, and kill them.
Sounds like your average serial killer.
No white dude in the north. It was from like I don't know. It was like Ohio, Illinois, or some shit.
I was about to
It
say
was one of
the
those northern states. He
Midwest.
was a
I mean, I would say that's probably why there's. No man, that's probably.
Gacy?
I was probably.
Middle West. That would mean like the Dakotas and Nebraska and shit.
Yeah, that's what I thought. The Midwest.
No. Echo. Where was John Wayne Gacy born?
John Wayne Gacy was born in Chicago, Illinois.
Damn, on bro.
Of
Yeah, it
course,
was
he'll come out
Illinois.
of Chicago.
Chicago. Just like Jeffrey Dahmer. But where was Jeffrey Dahmer from? Jeffrey Dahmer. As the Milwaukee Cannibal. Or the Milwaukee Monster.
That's,
Wisconsin.
Yeah. I mean, that's close enough to the Midwest anyway. I guess when
Why he put his zodiac sign in the bio?
We're now discussing
I said
likely one of
quick
the most
facts.
famous
Zodiac
of
sign,
all
Gemini.
time. Genghis
I don't give a fuck
Khan
about
was
that
the
dude.
ruler
Zodiac
of the
sign.
Mongol Empire, and possibly one of the most feared military leaders of all time. His violence and depravity knew no bounds, and the actions committed by and under Khan can really only be described as monstrous. And in regards to Genghis Khan and all of the horrible atrocities he is associated with, one thing he is also reported to be is rather religiously tolerant, which was something that was extremely rare at the time. But this, to me, raises a question, because did Genghis Khan truly believe that
I don't like
diversity
the
of
way you
faith
say his name, Genghis. I always thought it was Genghis.
Genghis.
beneficial among the Mongol Empire? Or did Genghis Khan just know that when you have one of the largest empires to ever exist on this planet, spanning
don't
across
matter.
multiple continents, it is unescapable to have a plethora of cultures and religions within your reign? And as a leader, you really only have two options. Do you convert everybody within your empire to a specific religion that you as the leader approve of and risk
don't do that
fragmenting your
thing.
entire empire? Or do you tolerate religious differences as long as everybody's on the same page about the greater goals of the empire as a whole? And well, I guess that's for you and the historians to decide, but it's definitely an interesting thought, and kind of ironic to think that one of the most brutal rulers and warriors of all time wanted to make sure that people were practicing the faith that they felt most comfortable with. But something he may have not been comfortable with was massive drug cartels, which is something our next person definitely was comfortable with: Pablo Escobar. Pablo Escobar is one of the
Escobar.
most notorious drug lords of all time. Maybe even criminals of all time.
He was
He led the
Colombian.
notoriously brutal Medellin cartel, and his net worth at the time of his death was estimated to be
it's
anywhere
Medellin.
from 30 to 80 billion dollars. He made his billions trafficking cocaine from Mexico into the U.S. from the 1980s to the 1990s, and he
And
his
that was
cartel
like in
reigned
the
terror
90s
across
money.
Colombia and the rest of South America. and
Today's
even
money,
the
it
United
would
States.
be ginormous.
I mean, I don't doubt it at all.
with the trafficking of the
Bro,
narcotics
I'm
he was
talking
selling.
about
Despite
they produced that shit, bro.
I mean, it's Latin
They
America.
manufactured
What
it
else
all.
would they produce besides drugs?
You right. And tequila. Oh my god, bro, I'm about to die.
the lifetime of organized crime, drug smuggling, torture, murder,
Oh,
and a lot of other unsavory things, Pablo did have a soft spot, specifically for the poor. In the 1980s, during the peak of
kids.
his business success, Pablo funded a lot of housing and infrastructure projects for poor people, specifically in Medellin, keeping people off the street and
That
giving
is
them a
true.
place to live,
And
which is quite
churches.
notable considering the vast amount of wealth he acquired. Although the methods he used to acquire this money is more than illegal, immoral, and unethical, considering all the bloodshed it took to acquire and maintain that fortune. To some in Medellin, Pablo Escobar seemed like a Robin Hood-esque figure. He took money from those who were looking to buy his product, and he gave back to the underprivileged in his community. But I'll be honest, if I was living in poverty on the side of the road and someone offered to give me a house, I really wouldn't care where the money came from, as long as the
True.
house was mine and I could live in it safely. And while we're on the topic
True.
of organized crime, let's talk about maybe one of the most famous
You do got a
gangsters
point.
of all time, Al Capone. Al Capone is one of the most notorious American gangsters, most famous gangsters of all time. Al.
What is this photo? I've never. I don't like this photo. I don't know. Something about
Dude,
it.
it's better than a speeder.
There's something about
It's
this
better
photo.
than a speeder.
Capone. Al Capone is one of the
It's
most
better
notorious
than a
American
speedo.
gangsters, and he gained this notoriety during the Prohibition era because the government wanted to ban alcohol, and then illegal sale was prohibited, meaning that there was a huge opportunity for illegal sale. Capone was the co-founder and boss of the Chicago mob from 1925 to 1931, but he spent most of his young life before that in organized crime as well. Capone's time in the mob involved political corruption, violence, illegal alcohol smuggling, bribery, and of course, murder and extortion. He was your quintessential mafia guy, but he, much like Pablo Escobar, had a soft spot for the underprivileged. And during the 1930s, when the Great Depression was going on, Al Capone used some of his wealth to actually fund soup kitchens for the unemployed. He opened a soup kitchen in Chicago and served thousands of meals for absolutely free. Similar to a few of the situations we discussed before, his motives are a bit unclear, because sure, he could have just out of the goodness of his heart wanted to do good for his community, but at the same time, opening up a soup kitchen in the same city that you have a huge public persona in is definitely good brownie points, and something that'll keep people off your radar and keep you in at least some people's good books. So his exact motivations for opening the soup kitchen aren't exactly clear, but it's undeniable that he did open a soup kitchen and feed thousands during one of the hardest economic times in American history. And while we're still on the topic of organized crime, I have one more sub-point, because it's actually not one person, it's a group. The Yakuza. In case you're unfamiliar, the Yakuza are the mafias or cartels of Japan. At this point, I don't think I need to
Yep.
exactly go into excruciating detail on why organized crime groups aren't, you know, great, specifically because of the crime associated with them consistently. But with that being said, in 2011, during a devastating earthquake and tsunami in Japan, one of the first groups of people to help support these people that were just affected by the natural disaster weren't first responders. It was actually the Yakuza. And while this is speculated to have been more or less of a power and publicity move to show that, hey, we're here before the government, and they were more or less taking advantage of the situation than to make a positive impact, the Yakuza did in fact show up before any other disaster relief group did and provided pretty substantial disaster
It's
relief
a lot
to
of
those
it.
who were
It's
affected by
a
the
lot of
earthquake
different.
and the following tsunami. And really quickly, before we get to the last entry on this list, I just want to say if you guys enjoy this video and like this topic and would like to see maybe a part 2
did
or
enjoy
maybe
this
see an
video.
opposite follow-up, you know, great
Thanks,
people that
bro.
did horrible things, then I'd be more than happy to make that video. And the best way to let me know, honestly, is just by showing some support. If you like this video and want to see more, leave a like or leave a comment letting me know
Already
that you want part
did.
2 or a video about great people that did horrible things. But with that being said, let's discuss the last horrible person on this list.
Stalin.
Osama bin Laden.
Oh.
Osama
Bin
might be the
Laden.
first guy on the list.
One ugly Afghan bastard. Look at
I'm
it.
happy.
Look at this man. Ugly.
Big lips, just like us. Nah, his lips are way bigger than ours, bro.
He could put filler in that.
I feel like Osama bin Laden is like the stereotypical
He just looks
Middle
like your.
Eastern looking.
Yeah, he just looks like a terrorist, just like most of Middle Eastern people.
Wow.
probably
I
doesn't
don't
need
like the
much of
color
an
of his
introduction, but
skin.
in
He's
case
probably
you
a
need a
terrorist.
refresher, Osama is probably most famously known for the September 11th attacks that happened in New York and his numerous global terror attacks that
He
happened
wasn't a part of
via
that.
Al Qaeda, the group he
We
was a
did that
leader
to
of, the
ourselves.
extremist terrorist
Mm,
organization. Osama
sure.
is probably one of the most
You
Deceased.
some Twitch streamer said that we deserved 9/11, and then another Twitch streamer that said that she hopes that uh our soldiers get PTSD. They deserve it.
Some I'm guarantee they do have PTSD from being in Afghanistan. Which I like to say, just like in the previous video, we should have just nuked Afghanistan. Get it over with. We kill Osama bin Laden. We kill Al Qaeda, the Taliban with just one nuclear strike. Easy. We didn't have to send thousands of men over. I'm telling you, bro. We should have just nuked them.
dangerous and notorious terrorists of all time. And the attacks that he helped orchestrate literally changed the world as we know it. But like everybody on this list, there are a few good things they have done. Specifically, in Osama's case, it is reported that he funded the construction of important infrastructure in countries like Sudan and Afghanistan, specifically roads, schools, and hospitals. But once again, it's highly speculated that these were more or less of a chess move rather than a selfless philanthropic move. Osama also had a copy of Super Mario Bros. On his computer, a video called Funny Cat 4, and there's even a video of him singing Lady Gaga's Poker Face. Crazy to think that this is the
This video is actually fake, but it's fully pretended to be real. But it's fully pretended. Oh, I read that wrong. Oops.
Cat 4, and there's even a video of him singing Lady Gaga's Poker Face. Crazy to think that
I'm sorry. I can never see it. I can never see this. He, I can never see this. By the way, being real. Cause if he would, he would have killed her, guaranteed, 100%.
this is the guy that, you know, changed the world forever. And I guess the point of this video is just to highlight the sheer complexity of people and situations. And while obviously nobody on this list is redeemed by any means because of these few good deeds that they did, it is interesting to talk about the things that nobody talks about. And I don't think that it's wrong or dangerous or bad to state facts. Hopefully from this video, you learned something new, satisfied your morbid curiosity, and maybe enjoyed a bit of a mind bender. Because it really is tough trying to associate, you know, positive things with some of the world's most evil people ever. But it just goes to show, people are complicated, and you can stack up a lot of good deeds to ultimately create a horrible situation. Like, you could give all of your friends cookies, and you'd be a great person. You gave all your friends cookies.
But they're poisoned.
But if you gave all your friends poisoned cookies and it killed them all in your
I just,
Crazy.
I just said
This
that.
guy,
goals to
this
kill them,
guy's kinda
well,
crazy,
you
bro.
kind of did a good thing, but it was ultimately to satisfy your evil plans. And I think that we kind of saw a lot of that on this list. If you enjoyed this video, check out the video on screen right now. It's a video about
What video on the screen, bro? See. Yeah, I enjoyed this video. It gave me just a little bit more insight to some of these people. Uh, yeah, I don't got anything else for real. I enjoyed the video. It was a good video. I liked it.
I
You
liked it video. It was a good video. Osama bin Laden. He was a bad guy, but he did good things. Very good things.
still
Good
should
guy,
have nuked
bad guy.
Afghanistan. I'm standing by that.
The big red button is on my desk. I should have gave it to bin Laden, but I said no. Let's wait. Let's
No,
wait for
who was
Putin. Let's wait for Clinton.
if I could go back in time, I would. Alright, if you enjoyed this video, like, comment, subscribe, peace out, and tell me, the en- would you have nuked Afghanistan after 9/11?
Who was your favorite dictator?
Who's your favorite dictator? I'll go with Adolf Hitler.